Okay, third grade. So last week we drew our box. This week we're going to be adding the value to our box. Now, in order to remember what value is and how value works, we're going to start by drawing a value scale. A value scale is when you show one color going from light to dark. I have chosen to use blue. You can use pencil color. You can use a colored pencil of any sort. You could even do it with crayon. But since we're learning how to do this, I highly suggest either crayon or colored pencil. Oops, and I forgot a line. Hold on just a second. Okay, boys. Okay, guys and girls, last week we drew our box and we made it three-dimensional by using a one-point perspective going to the vanishing point. This week we're going to make it even more realistic by adding value. We tried before doing the cylinders, and so now we're doing value with a different shape. In order to really get this concept down, I want us to go ahead and start with the value scale. Now remember, value is the lightness or darkness within one color, so you can use any color you choose. You can use a colored pencil or a regular pencil. It really doesn't matter as long as you can show the lightness and darkness of a color. So I'm going to go ahead and at the top just draw a big long bar, just like that, and divide it into maybe, let's do 5 different sections. So we'll go ahead and divide it in half like that, and then like that, and then like that. They don't have to be even because we're just showing the lightness to darkness. We're not actually showing, like, the actual measurement. So our very first number we're going to put as a 1, and that's going to be our lightest color. It's going to be no color at all. Our darkest color is going to be a 5. So you can choose to either start with your lightest or move to your darkest, or start with your darkest and move to your lightest. It's really up to you how you want to work. So I'm just going to go ahead and I want to make as light blue as possible. Just like that, okay? So that's my 2. Then I'm going to move to my 3 and make it slightly darker than the value before. Okay? And then that's my 3. Now my 4 is going to be even darker. Okay, and then my 5 is the darkest value I'm going to use. So I'm going to make it as dark as I can by pushing down as hard as I can. So remember, when we're doing value with a pencil of some sort, it's the amount of pressure we put on. There's lots of different ways to make value changes, but that's what we're going to focus on today. So I should see a difference in each of my values. There should be a jump from your 2 to your 3. There should be a jump from your 3 to your 4, exactly, and your 4 to your 5, okay? Exactly like that. Got it? Now, we need to draw where our light is coming from, and we're going to make our light come from this corner here. So I'm going to have my little light, my sunlight, or your lamp, whichever you want to make. And now let's go ahead and start thinking about how the light is hitting our object. Now, this one, the light is hitting directly onto there, and it's also hitting directly onto here. So those ones are going to stay the lightest. This one here is not getting much light. It's going to get light hitting back from there over to here. So it's not going to be my 5, but it will be my 4. So when I look and I try to color in the space right here, I'm thinking about my contour line. So I'm going to make all my lines match that top edge, but then I'm also thinking about the pressure. I want it to look like this one here. I think that's pretty good. And then my 2, I'm going to put over on this one right here because it's getting a lot of light, but it's still folded up a little bit, so it's getting an indirect light. It might be a little bit lighter at the top and a little bit darker at the bottom, but we're not going to worry too much about that for this one here. We're just going to try to get at that 2 value right here. There we go. And since that got a little bit darker, I'm going to make this just a tiny bit darker than the one before. Okay, there we go. So we've got the easy ones done. We've got the ones that are one solid color. What we're going to do here, though, is we're going to start at about a 3, and we're going to move it down to about a 5. This is like what we did with our cylinder, where we move from one value to the next value. So I've got to go from 3 to 4 to 5 on this one. The lightest up here, the darkest down here. So let's go ahead and try that now. I'm going to start with my 3, which is like this value right here. So it's going to match that value at the top. But then as I move down, I'm going to start getting harder. So it looks like the value on this side over here. And then as I get towards the bottom, I'm going to push even harder to get at that nice dark value at the bottom. So I went from 3 to 4 to 5. Okay, let's go ahead and do this edge of the box over here. And this one, because the flap is overlapping the bottom of the box, it's making a shadow onto the box. So this part right here is going to be darkest. So we're going to go from a 5 to a 4 to a 3 here, the opposite of what we did on here. And notice I'm seeing how there's like a big jump from here to here. And again, I always try to get rid of those jumps. I don't want them ever to be big jumps from one color to another. Okay. And then the last one we need to do is the shadow onto the ground. Oh, you might notice from last time, I went ahead and added a horizon line. In this case, it's separating like maybe the wall from the floor, or maybe it is outside, it doesn't matter. You just want to make sure that there's some sort of a horizon line, because that's what makes your object from floating on your paper. Now the shadow, I'm going to start maybe with a 4, maybe with a 5 right here, and I'm going to try to move it out all the way to a 1, okay? I think I'm going to start really dark. And then what you can always do, because there's something called refracted light, it creates this little white space right here. And that's actually how we end up making our borders a lot of times. The difference between light, you know, from the object to the floor is a really light line that's right at the very edge of the object. Okay, and that is our lesson for today. That's what we needed to get done. So please make sure you take a picture and send it in to me so you can be entered into the raffle. Thank you.